In today's video I have another Walkman. I saw this one for $5 and thought, oh, it's good for parts if nothing else. Actual Radio Shack one. So from Tandy Electronics, catalogue 14-1206, I think that says. SCP-65. Yeah, 1206. Custom manufactured in China for Radio Shack, a division of Tandy Corp. Couldn't actually find this in their catalogue. I think somewhere around the mid-90s is a similar one, but this part's yellow. And it's got like Micronta or some other brand on it rather than Radio Shack. So I don't know if this one may have come in from overseas or somewhere, or it is just one they sold but not in the catalogue. I thought maybe in a previous year they would have changed it, but for a couple of years, I think around the mid-90s, they were selling a slightly different styled version of this. Supposedly it doesn't work, so I guess we might shove a couple of batteries in there and see what it actually does. So negative that way. Quite likely got some tape issue or something. Now I've got a semi-display there. That could be an issue too. So it's got a timer, radio, what are we on? Tape. That switch is a bit dicky. No surprises there, quite common in Walkmans. How do I get FM up? Oh, that's just stereo mono, E-bass in and out. So we've got radio, stereo mono, tape. Must be one of these buttons. Oh, there's AM, FM. FM doesn't light up very well on the display, so we've probably got some issues in the door. Yeah, it's up inside the door there. Possibly the connector to the display or something's a bit out. I mean, that's a good sign in a way, because the rest of it may work. I need to find a headphone to... That's right, I've got my little old computer lead or something here. From 3.7 to RCA. Okay. Oh, that sounds like it's picking up something. I think a lot of these use the headphone lead as an antenna on the FM quite a lot of the time. It's not picking up real well on that. I can't read the actual frequency, so that doesn't help if whether I'm on. I'd say that works as far as radio goes. And we do have an external power socket there for 3 volts. Volume control's good. Yeah, switch is a bit dicky for sure. Open. Quite a difficult one to open, but I guess they're designed to not be too easy. I'd say the tape probably is in working condition. I've only got fast forward and play. There's not even a proper reel on the other side. It's just a post there so that the tape stays in place, but it doesn't actually slides in the door there. Sounds a bit iffy on the speed, possibly a bit fast, and sounds a bit like it's actually varying in speed a bit. Definitely needs the extended bass boost, I think, because it's pretty tinny without it. It's a bit over the top with it. And yeah, I think the main problem is just the actual display. I guess maybe we should pull the door to bits and have a look and see what else is inside this thing. Just gotta be a bit careful careful taking these apart because it's around the buttons and around all these switches and stuff. So how exactly does that... Doesn't feel like it's coming. That certainly makes it harder having the buttons in the way. Do I have to push them in or something? You never know with these things. It doesn't really feel like it's coming. Unless the board's meant to come with it, which I don't think it is. No, board's not moving. Yeah, that's an interesting design, that. Unless you're going to take the buttons off. They wouldn't have made it like that, would they? You never know. Yeah, this one almost is like you've got to take the buttons off to get the... Don't know if I've ever had one you've actually got to take them right off, but it's not a great design. Whoop. Yeah, I think that almost needs... Well, that one sort of came loose. Yeah, I think we've got to take these off. Come on. That's coming. So what do we have? Play, fast forward, stop, I think. Yeah, so that's designed like that. So this is a bit later. I never really worked on Walkmans at this age. When getting into the later 90s, I don't think it was all the earlier stuff. Back when they were decent ones, a lot of these were getting quite cheap, and you'd sort of tell people to chuck them away usually, but and replace them, it's not going to be worth the time to repair them most of the time. Oh, do I need to undo this board, or do I just need to take the... I wonder if I could have just took the door off without even pulling it apart. So you might, some of these you just press on the little bits, but I like to be able to see, well, which bit you press on. How does that hold in there? Oh, I think you might have to unclip it first at this hinge part. Oh, it's got a connector there anyway. That's this big, so it doesn't come far anyway. I wouldn't want to look at the belt in this thing. It's knowing how you free this without breaking anything, because I think these have like a hook bit on them. Yeah, the bit that comes up and stops them going. So these aren't actually holding it in. You've got to clip the back off. Whatever's hinging here has to come off. Oh, I think there's a grey plastic, possibly bits down in here somewhere. Try a slightly bigger one. I think we've got to slide it, but of course that pulls the other one in more. Slide one of these out and try and... hey, that's got it, I think. It's starting to come. Then I should better slide the door the other way and get the other one out. That's it. And then we can unhook these other bits. So that's simple enough. Whoops, we've got a piece off a switch there. I better put back on. I might have to prop that up a bit. Just so it doesn't pull on that cable. I don't know that we're going to be able to do much with it, but I think it's worth a look. But this is probably not going to be the highest build quality of this thing. That's why I normally stay away from these later ones, but I thought it might be handy. I still need a motor for that other one I looked at. I think it was a Sanyo or something. And this may have the same sort of motor in it, and it's... I think they're about $15 new, so if I can get a motor out of it even for $5. What do we got? We've got a wire hanging. So it's on the end of a flexible cable, and probably goes back to a little chip or something on this board potentially. What do we do here? Press that in or something? That seems to be what holds the... yeah, that's it. You press that down and the board should just... it's going to suddenly go. I know it is. and you risk tearing one of these connectors or something if it suddenly slides. Why won't that go sideways? Well, it doesn't help that that cable's there. And do I need to release the display? It clips awfully tight. That's just for that. Problem is you don't want to be pressing against the glass of the display while you do that. I'm kind of going to have to, I think. Horrible design. Anyway, I don't think we're going to be able to necessarily fix much. I guess I might put the batteries back in before I go any further. Of course we can't. That was always the problem with Walkmans. You can't often run them with the back off and batteries because you've disconnected them. That should be close to 3 volts. That doesn't seem to do anything. Oh, here we go. So it's down the board end here somewhere, but look at there's a clock sort of coming back. That's what I would have expected. Mostly just poorly made, I think. I really want that display free first, I think. Can I bend this plastic without breaking the glass or putting pressure on the glass? That's it. I just don't want any chance of ripping either of these connectors when this slides sideways, because it feels like it's going to suddenly go. What? Something's in the way. The bottom sort of moves. The top doesn't, so something glued down. Something stuck somewhere. Feels like there's something that's pivoting around some point. I can't see any screws there. That's kind of it, but at least it didn't shoot too far. It's probably a dodgy cable or something. It does have a bit of a mark in the cable there, like something's attacked it, or it's these solder joints. If they are even solder joints, they're probably just glued down or something. That one's soldered on. I bet this one's just glued to the board or something. Yeah, of course the power came off. Oh, now I've lost everything. Or is that the power coming off again? Oh, I've killed it, I think. Oh, what's this little switch do? What was that little switch? Oh, has it got some hidden switch there? Interesting. What does it go under? Yeah, interestingly there's a switch, but I don't know what it actually does. Well, this should have clock regardless, I think. Well, I think I killed it. Have we taken it, lost a connection, one of the main connections or something? Oh no, power's definitely come off now. I reckon resetting it all. Get it back, and there we are, back not very well, but don't think there's much you can do to repair these things, really. I am tempted to peel it off and try cleaning it and putting it back on again or something. The whole thing's moved sideways, that's the problem. Or is it? Yeah, it is. I think the whole connector has slid. It's not sitting perfectly on those little gold pads. So that might be the issue. I think these just... but the problem is the glue's not gooey anymore, I don't think. No, I don't think that's going to come off and go back on again. When they were a bit newer, often the glue on these sort of things would still be sticky. And there was the potential to peel it off and put it back on again. I wonder if we can heat it up with a hot air gun or something and see if the whole... Yeah, they're almost... The connections are almost sitting in between the gold connections on this. Sitting in between the gold bits on the circuit board there. So that's what's, I reckon, heat or something's probably got to it, and it's slowly moved across over time, or some other force in the glue or something's done it as the glue's dried out. Don't know. It looks a lot like it was stuck on there in that position. I can't see any glue at the edges, so maybe just poor manufacturing. Something's happening, but I don't see anything good. I think I might have just shrunk it down a bit. Ooh, that is hot. I don't think that glue is gonna relent on me. Shouldn't really be putting my fingers on it in case it does, because then I'll probably get hot glue stuck to me. Ooh, it has gone a bit stickier. Maybe. I don't think you're going to get that off and put it back on again though. Is it going to go back down? Oh, maybe it will. Bit risky, but I've got nothing to lose because this thing's really not worth anything anyway. It's not making that plastic shrink. I think it is, unfortunately. Quick. I don't know that this is going to work, but chances are it won't, because I think there's a glue on the actual contacts. Good if I could actually get it in the right place. Is that lined up? Yeah, better than it was, but I don't know. There is actually some sort of layer of glue under there. Probably should have really cleaned it off first, but then it probably wouldn't stick down if I had. This thing actually doesn't fit properly, I don't think. No, it's still out at this end. I wonder if it shrunk when I heated it. I reckon that's what's happened. It's not too bad along here. And then at some point, oh, actually, have I got it too far that way? No, it's shrunk, I think, so I think I've stuffed it. Yeah, no, that's not much good at all. I don't reckon we'll get much out of that, but it's worth a try. We've got a few segments there. Yeah, that's just a generally not great design. That was the problem with a lot of this later stuff, and that's why it really wasn't worth looking at a lot of the time, because you always find something horrible like this. So yeah, without a new display, I guess back in the day, if you could have got parts for it, you'd just tear that whole display off, clean it all up, get a new one complete with fresh glue on it, and that would fix it. So I think we'll give up on the display side of things. And yeah, generally they're not really worth messing with. If they work a bit, that's probably better than trying to fix it and having it not work at all. But that's the way these things go. But like I say, this was a $5 unit, and I don't really care about it because it's only a more modern, cheapo sort of Tandy one. Let's have a look what sort of mech it's got in it out of interest. But it's getting into the era where things are starting to get beyond repair, because they're just too fiddly, and you've got to have the original part or whatever not something you can just fix yourself. It'll be interesting to see what sort of little mech we have here. I think we're going to have to unsolder the motor, at least pull a bit more wire there. Maybe the heads as well. So yeah, definitely not really made to work on easily. I'm going to have to pull that up, I think, and then glue it. What is, oh, it's the battery terminal's catching. I've bent it a bit now. I was going to say something down this end is not wanting to come out. I think we can jiggle it enough to can probably get the mech out of the thing without unsoldering anything. But yeah, at least it was still functional for what it was made for. You could still listen to music on it. Now, is there another screw? No, not that I can see. Or is there something coming through from above? Don't tell me they put a screw there. I think they did. And the door's gone back on. And they're really not much fun to work on. But yeah, there's a screw there for some reason. But I'll hold that back up. And that's our little plastic mech. Like I say, that is just not even a reel. Nothing turns there, it's just a post sticking up. Nice simple little design. All you really needed. Generally, if you're on the move with these things, you weren't messing around with a rewind or fast forward and stuff anyway, but you do have the option, I guess, if you wanted to remove it, get it taped back to the end. Does that say 9591? Possibly it's a 95, who knows. And not much to it really at all. Very tiny little belt. And yeah, that belt's starting to go. It's been sitting in one spot for ages. By the look of it, it's got a lump in it. I've got another little belt down here for the reel. And yeah, that slips pretty easy. So it would have been due for a couple of new belts. Got a nice little pinch roll, a nice little head, but I think this will just be a parts machine. I guess we've got to find out whether that motor fits that other one I got, and headphone sockets often handy out of them, those sort of things. The little power sockets, they sometimes got damaged if people used them. And that's about it. Radio built on there. Can't see any other real markings on the board that give away much. Being Tandy, they just would have got some manufacturer to make a batch for them and put their brand on it. And yeah, it looks like there's a little motor speed control pot, almost wound exactly to one end, so maybe that's why it did seem a little out. And a little variable. So who knows who made that mechanism. I know Tanishan did make some little plastic mechs like this. I'll have to see if I can find a picture of one somewhere, but I don't think it's one of theirs. But who would know? Anyone could have made this one. Does it have a brand on the motor? I don't think it does. It just says QC Past. Most likely some, was it Chinese or Taiwanese company? Manufactured in China, yes, it's just a Chinese one. But I think that's about as much as I'll do with this one. If I really wanted a portable AM FM radio, this would still do the job for that, even though you can't really see the frequency anymore. But I will have a look on that Sanyo. I think the main thing I want out of this is I'll pinch that motor out of it. The circuit board can go in my collection of boards, so things like that battery terminal will probably come in handy for something. And like that tiny pinch roller, that's probably going to be useful somewhere. And possibly that head may be a record head. I doubt they would have made them playback only, though I get a feeling that you could get playback only heads, but that might be good for something. Doesn't look like it's had any real use, as in it's not worn, can't feel any wear on it. But I think that's about all I'll do with this one. But it's worth a look to see how it was actually designed, but normally these later ones I don't touch them for this exact reason. There was another, like an AWA or something with this, which was a blatantly El Cheapo Chinese one, probably even later than this one. And I didn't even bother grabbing that, even though I probably should have got it for the motor or something, but I just can't bring myself to touch those things. They're just so cheap and nasty. This I thought might be a little bit better quality, but to be honest it's pretty bad, like most mid-90s stuff. But possibly that motor could be useful, and I think the rest of it I might bin, and I'll just get that board will be handy for some bits and pieces, no doubt. Even things like the little volume control, not that I'm going to be repairing many Walkmans or anything, but some of those bits come in handy for radios and stuff. So I think we'll call it quits with that one, so thanks for watching.